Kenny Omega has been the worst world champion I've probably seen in quite a long time. At least there was some semblance of a fanfare why this vanilla indie midget finger fucking asshole should even be in the WWE. And I don't mind to be really graphic here, but Kenny doesn't deserve me being polite or formal in any semblance of the reason, bro. I feel like he's worse. Roman Reigns, we can say that it's boring, but at least he looks like a top guy, behaves like a top guy, has at least the influence to be a top guy for the company, and it's been like that for several years. AEW is a striving promotion, and Kenny Omega doesn't even feel as big time as the current TNT champion, Miro. It's just sad now because this is coming into inconsistent viewership and poor ratings over the 18 to 35 ratio, the demographic that you're targeting over to hit young adults to growing adults. And most of these people are not watching because of this cookie cutter super indie BS that's just pushing so much of a vocal minority that they're always great, that your fan base is always going to stick over to the circle, that nothing's better than their company. Or that isn't a simple, alternative that they can watch. And I feel like that's depressing. And now AEW uses over this drive that they're missing from a channel that has prime shows, pro NBA basketball shows that that could like take their time out of watching YouTube and be like, oh, I'm gonna be on TNT for a bit, I'm gonna watch a show, I'm gonna watch a game, to TBS. And the most TBS been headlining over most of their news frame was Chad being the worst televised shitfest I've ever seen. They have a middle-aged trans dude playing some teenage child trying to fit in being part of some Persian family. And that's been done to death, either from that ethnicity. And there's nothing wrong making a fish out of water story and trying to socialize and fit in over into American society, having a certain culture or ethnicity about you. That's been already done to death. But having something like that probably is unique. It's just the casting and the acting that gets it for me. Nobody gives a shit about that show. And I swear that gets higher ratings than AEW Dynamite more consistently. They pushed over getting a 1 point something, and they come pushing this over to AEW's face. How unprofessional is that? That you're going to boast over your TV ratings to be better than a developmental program that Vince just tossed over there just because he can. There was no outside viewership that Vince was trying to get using NXT as a scapegoat. AEW should have burned this thing to the water years ago. The NXT shouldn't have been a problem. Yeah, they somehow dominated the Wednesday Night War, but it was like always by the bare minimum or close. And just seeing how this succumbs to, they got blown over from a deal involving the NHL. Hockey, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hockey. Obviously, there's a subsequent fan base for that. And hockey's been on the mainstay for a long time. And I don't mind actually watching a hockey game. They can actually be a bit as exciting as an NBA game, depending on your patience. It's increasingly a bit more fast-paced, even though people expect them to score a bit more. And it can, and their fan bases can make games actually more exciting than they do for the NBA, that it takes like the first couple seconds. People actually want to get excited whenever they try to score on each other. But by God, like, if NHL's beating you over on deals for a wrestling show on TNT, something that's supposedly supposed to be a renaissance for professional wrestling, and you're on something with American Dad reruns and Chad, I think you already killed yourself there. That's just bottom of the barrel. I'm not saying TBS isn't a legit program, but if you're missing over TBS over TNT, that's a bit of a bottom of the barrel. Hell, even when Jericho was getting roasted over NBA fans, at least I was garnering some attention. I was like, look at Jericho with his little baby stomach, looking like Shane Douglas. Uh, shit. This is and how this transitions conspires over just most of what they built themselves over a box. Like they have just became the considerable semblance, like the antithesis of freaking mediocrity incarnate. While like people can shit over on TNA, you can't tell me they didn't try to conspire over to the mainstream to at least exceed a higher audience from just the TNA Impact Zone fan base. There have been times when they hit over a 1.1, a 1.4. They were actually conspiring a bit more consistently over the viewership minds of when they were getting Sting and Kurt Angle. They were pushing over the Main Event Mafia. Hell, over the Hogan era, they were pushing over numbers that freaking AEW could barely get during their first few weeks on TNT. And they have actually a tenured on Spike. Like, come on. When people ask about TNA, they're gonna probably ask, "Hey, are they still on Paramount?" Well, I mean, they used to be called Spike. Oh, they go on Dynamite. What the hell is that crap? Like, dude, come on. They've written over this box because AEW never had an antithesis of growth in their company, and it's damn abhorrent. They continue conspiring excessive, boring ass tag team matches. They don't know how to get guys over during squash matches, and squash matches are important. No legitimacy over their main event scene. Kenny Omega behaves like an effing mid carder with mid card feuds like John Moxley, Orange Cassidy, and Pac instead of Hagar, Sting, Christian Cage, Wardlow, MJF, guys that they could be printing money over, and they don't conspire with these complex storylines, and just no anticipus, no focus on a plot to revolve around the show, so people can have a major reason what to watch. Like, yes, the wrestlers are always going to be the draw, but also having a story and trying to build because it's a TV show, guys. As much as you want to conspire and be like, oh, the wrestling gets you. No, it doesn't. It's a TV show. Make it over. You guys have production. You guys have factions. You can make a conspiring plot that can last a couple weeks and get people interested. That's how to make a show work. I don't know how this is difficult. And now they're over on TBS with another show called Rampage. They already have uh, Dark airing over an hour of 17 matches over in a show, and Rampage is worth an hour. So imagine how much content they're pushing over in just a week. That is just way too much wrestling, and they keep digging themselves just a big ass grave for no reason because all they focus on is just pro wrestling, and that's not how you build over your show. I hate to save people, but wrestling isn't enough to make people get interested in your TV show. It's been done to death, and that's why Ring of Honor, MLW, uh, hell, even sometimes Impact always just dig themselves over to their small container because they're not willing to at least skip out over their comfort zone and do stuff that feel like it can actually make, hey, this stuff could probably get more viewers. This stuff could possibly make sure we gain more fans so they can support our stuff. So we can keep this going. No one's focusing over in the long term. Like the biggest headline is freaking Davey Richards returning on MLW. That is depressing. Uh, like the most we speak over in the wrestling business now is just conspiring sex offenders and weirdo anime weeaboos talking about Japanese chicks in Stardom promotions where these chicks do German suplexes, snapping their necks while they have tutus, bro. Like, I'm not watching that. No, I want to watch how I first started watching when I was a kid. I want to see buff badasses beat each other up with cool storylines and creative characters while watching hot chicks in the process, while they kick each other's ass. And you're gonna have these cool, unique pay-per-views, cool match concepts, and I just keep watching this over a weekly basis, and I got hooked. It's that's not that hard if you sum it up in that milestone. Nobody asked for this work rate BS. They want to watch cool characters fight. And that's why over the antithesis of anime being a bit more like less niche over the contents of professional wrestling, and I just can't stand that. Even though I watch anime, I get a bit of a cringe over the community that I don't even want to set myself apart of because how niche, weird, and pedo it is. And I hate to say that, but there's certain parts of people watching anime where they're just into the some immoral stuff. And now AEW has conspired that they're just anime weirdo work rate maggots that can't even like get companies that they're affiliating over. And now they're moving over to TBS for these reasons. It's depressing. And it has something to do with Cody Rhodes' ego, over anticipus over with wrestling, not getting the right guys over, weird show structure, weird match concepts, weird lack of psychology or storyline in any of their matches, and just like so much exaggeration with matches and roster. Like Sean Taylor, Layla Hirsch, like some of these people you barely even see, and they barely even sell over half the roster that they came with since 2019. Like, no, come on. Uh, I already predicted over most of my reviews, and if you see me on other platforms, on YouTube channels, I already conspire that AEW is barely going to last half a decade, and this is because they are just okay with what they are, and they have no anticipation or ambition to grow. And that sucks, especially for any other type of business other than pro wrestling. If you're just conspiring around your own circle, you're willing to implode because you have no chances of getting bigger. So, yeah, that's practically all I want to say over on the TBS thing. The AEW put this upon themselves because they were actually a decent wrestling show back in 2019 when people were optimistic, and now nobody has any optimism when it comes to AEW Dynamite episodes. Like, look how my ratings even declined over most of my reviews. How I came even giving Dynamite, AEW Dynamite, a 7 out of 10 over the first few episodes. And then, over like probably the spring of 2020, it went to shit. Quality went to shit. Match structure went to shit. The roster went to shit. Egos, SJWs, pedos, and just a lot of like reoccurring match concepts. BTE in general, ruining over the wrestling business and just ruining over any semblance of uniqueness that AEW even had to begin with. They're retconning their own structure in just 2 years, and people think that this is still the best thing going. Even like smart weirdos like Pillmore Production even says that I'm not even effing with this stuff. AEW is garbage. They're not even worth me headlining. And this is just the poor business motive that AEW has to begin with, even involving content creators that were behind them and ruining their own contract because Tony Khan just has such a frill ego and image about himself. So that's all I got coming out of here. If you could take this upon yourself, just think about what AEW done over the last couple of years to even get people hooked. Because all I can say, and this is going to be a lasting one, I'd rather be declining than inconsistent when it comes to even growing content. So that's what AEW's done, and now they're on TBS come 2021. Thanks for watching.